Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elaine Robinson, and I have the pleasure of introducing our next panel of speakers, Ms. Salma Hasan, Laura Egan, Ann Chandler, and Liza Garcia. This panel will be discussing the different ways attorneys can engage with local nonprofit organizations. Our first speaker, Ms. Salma Hasan, is a senior pro bono coordinating attorney at Kids in Needs of Defense in Houston. She provides mentorship and technical assistance to pro bono attorneys representing unaccompanied children in immigration removal proceedings and supervises the pro bono program at Kind. Prior to working at Kind, Salma worked as a Yale Leonard and Irene Merker Rosenberg Public Interest Fellow at the Tahirih Justice Center, where she represented women and children fleeing extreme forms of violence in their immigration cases and also mentored pro bono attorneys. She received her Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Houston Law Center, where she also worked in the Immigration and Civil Practice Clinic as a student attorney. She interned at Lone Star Legal Aid and Montgomery County Women's Center, working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. Salma graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Rhetoric and Writing and Government. She is licensed to practice law in Texas. Our next speaker, Ms. Laura Egan, is a senior staff attorney with the ABA's Children Immigration Law Academy, CILA. She graduated from the Catholic University of America Columbus School of Law in Washington, D.C. in 2011. She obtained a certificate in comparative and international law and participated in the International Business and Trade Program in Krakow, Poland, and interned in a human rights clinic while in Krakow. Lauren became passionate about immigration law during law school when she participated in her school's Columbus Community Legal Services Families and the Law Clinic, and worked with refugees and asylees while interning with the International Rescue Committee's immigration program. Laura started her legal career as a disability attorney with Russell and Hill in Everett, Washington. Prior to joining the CILA, Laura worked in removal defense for Carney and Markey, an immigration law and criminal defense law firm in Seattle, Washington. Liza Garcia serves as a senior attorney for the Unaccompanied Minors Program at Catholic Charities St. Francis Cabrini Center for Immigrant Legal Assistance. In addition to her role defending children, as pro bono coordinator, she works to recruit and mentor pro bono attorneys who assist immigrant children in obtaining various forms of immigration relief. Liza completed her Juris Doctorate in 2015 at the Arizona Summit School of Law, received an MA from St. Mary's University in 2011, and received a BA from the University of Texas at Austin in 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our panel of speakers. And Ann Chandler, we heard from earlier today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Salma Hasan. I'm the Senior Pro Bono Coordinating Attorney at Kind, Kids in Need of Defense in Houston. We are a international nonprofit now. We were founded for the purpose of providing immigration representation to every unaccompanied child who's in removal proceedings. As you may have heard in one of the presentations earlier, immigrants in removal proceedings are not entitled to appointed counsel, and that includes children, so otherwise they would be required to appear pro se. So our goal at Kind is to ensure that no such child appears alone. We have expanded our pro bono program to now stretch across the pond. We have Kind UK for the past couple of years, and we're expanding to include Kind Europe. And we are also excited to announce that we're opening an office in Kind Mexico to address the everything that's going on at the border, as well as the increasing refugee crisis in Europe currently. But nationally, we have 10 offices, including our office in Houston. And what we do is we try to provide holistic representation for unaccompanied children. So that includes providing lawyers for unaccompanied children, but it also includes providing social services support, to our clients. And so each of our offices has social services coordinators. Our Houston office actually has 2 social services coordinators, one for our release team and one for our detained team. So our release program is for unaccompanied children who are no longer in a shelter, and our detained program is for children who are still at the shelter. We also do advocacy with Congress, and we do federal litigation in support of policies related to unaccompanied children. And finally, if a child is unable to stay in the United States or wants to return to their home country, we do have a repatriation program available to help kids return. So these are just some statistics that we have. We've had over 20,000 children referred to KIND as of this past October. And what we do is we partner with law schools, we partner with law firms, large and small, solo attorneys, corporate counsel, to help find pro bono representation for unaccompanied children. We do this both in-house and we do pro bono counsel. So since 2014, over 200,000 children have arrived to the United States. 2014 is the big year when a lot of unaccompanied children started arriving. You might have talked about this earlier. But nearly 60% of these kids do not have representation. So that is why through our program and through other programs, we try to bridge that gap and help kids find representation, because children are 5 times more likely to obtain success in their case if they are represented in their proceedings. And only 15% of pro se clients can avoid being returned. So representation is a very important issue. So how our program works is that for our release program, is that we screen children who have been released to either Harris County or Montgomery County for immigration legal relief. So I don't know if you stopped by our KIND table at the front, but there was a piece of paper there that had a list of a few available cases, and so that's us screening the children and seeing if they might qualify for legal relief. And then we map out a proposed route for an attorney to take on the case. We provide one-on-one mentorship for attorneys in their representation of the child, but we do not co-counsel on cases. So that means that if you were to take on a pro bono case through KIND, you would be taking this on fully. But we do assign a KIND staff attorney to work one-on-one with the team or with you on a pro bono case. And so that means that we help you work through case strategy. We can provide samples and templates. We review drafts and all of that, but we cannot meet with the client directly. We won't attend court with the client coverage. We won't do co-counsel, but we do provide very hands-on support so that you can provide the best representation possible for your client. So what your role as a pro bono attorney would be is to sign a full representation agreement with the client, to meet with them and interview them, prepare them for immigration court. If they're going to be going to family court, prepare them for that, prepare their applications, and to counsel them on the results and advise them, just like you would be doing with any of your other clients in your regular practice. But it is a very, very rewarding process, I would say. You can make a really big impact on a child's life. It's a matter of whether or not they can remain here safely, and most of our clients are fleeing some sort of harm or seeking some sort of protection here in the U.S. So you can play a very big role in helping them achieve that. But it is a very long-term process. It's a pro bono, taking on a case pro bono means that you are taking it on from start to finish. Because we don't co-counsel, we also cannot take cases back. And so that means that for immigration, it can be a year where you have the case, or the case can last up to maybe 4 years. You might have heard when we were talking maybe about special immigrant juvenile status or U visas, things like that. They are taking a very long time. So that means that that case is going to belong to you for whatever span of time it'll take for that visa to process. So we know that that is a very big commitment for people, and so if you would like to get involved in a different way, we also have opportunities for people to interpret in cases, provide translation. Sometimes we have research opportunities available, maybe for an asylum case. You can help provide country condition support or draft a legal brief or something like that in support of a kind attorney's case. So we can have some sort of short-term representation there too. We also, appreciate drives and donations, of course, but in whatever way you would like to make a tangible impact, we can support you in finding a way to do that. But of course, all of our kids need representation, and we appreciate your interest and support in helping us obtain that. So if you are interested in volunteering with KIND, you can reach out to our KIND our general Houston email, which is infohouston@supportkind.org, or you can also come see us at the front. We have somebody tabling, and we are happy to talk to you a little bit in more detail about the cases that we have available and what we can do working with you guys.
So hello, my name is Laura, and I'm here to represent CILA, Children's Immigration Law Academy. And just to give you a little bit more information regarding CILA, we are a project of the American Bar Association, and we are in Houston at South Texas College of Law is where we house our offices. Can y'all hear me now better? I have a bit of a cold, so sorry about my voice. But so what we provide individualized technical assistance, where basically if you are representing a child in immigration matters, you can go onto our website and seek technical assistance on your case. If you need help with strategy, if there is a complicated issue, you want some help with your research, or just if you need any advice at all, we're willing to provide that individualized information particular to your case. So this is really helpful if you get into kind of a tricky legal issue. We also provide trainings, both in person as well as webinars. And we help support collaboration amongst other practitioners with working groups and listservs. So we have listservs available regarding special immigrant juvenile status, as we've talked about today, as well as asylum. We have advisories on our website, and we do advocacy with judicial outreach, liaison meetings, and if there's anything that's an emergency type issue, we have in the past helped with emergency reception centers, helping find volunteers, helping doing some training of those volunteers, and we also do some pro bono coordination. So let me just go through this a little bit more specifically. We have a small team of 6, 5 attorneys and 1 administrative assistant, and so Dahlia, who spoke earlier, and Yasmin co-founded CILA and brought this to fruition. So this is just looking at our website here. If you are interested in taking on a pro bono case, we are all kind of presenting what our organizations do and how we relate and work with pro bono attorneys. So if you want to go to our website, you can go to Pro Bono there at the top and look at our Pro Bono Matters platform. And so we have basically worked with other organizations to help connect them with pro bono attorneys. So you can go to our platform and look for opportunities. And this is national, so there are some opportunities in Texas, but also opportunities for other areas as well. So it's a place you can go to search for a case, but you can also find resources. That's a lot of what we do as a legal resource center, is finding, gathering information, doing research, creating guides, as I mentioned, so you can find information that's directly applicable to you, and that's on the right-hand side there. For technical assistance, again, you can just give us a call, you can email us, or you can go to our website and fill out the specific form. We just need the last 3 digits of the A number in order to help you with your case. And this is what it looks like there if you want to go to our website. We also do a blog just with regarding certain things that are going on in the news or certain things that we're getting a lot of technical assistance questions on. We'll write a blog article regarding that issue so people can find more information. We did a recent one about upholding, keeping the government accountable, upholding civil rights and due process for unaccompanied children. I know there were some questions earlier, how do we keep the government accountable? One way to do that is to file a civil rights complaint with the Department of Homeland Security regarding that particular violation of that child's rights. So you can go to our website and read that blog article to know, how do I screen my client for these issues and how do I handle it when I do come across those problems? So we have a lot of good information. We also have an online resource library, and so if you just need to get started in your research, we have a very comprehensive chart regarding a lot of different sources that you can look to start your research in your immigration case. If you want to just look at the basics of a special immigrant juvenile status case, you can look at our simple handy guide to know what steps you need to follow. So you can go there. We also have a password protected area of our website. So if you need more information, if you do take on a case, you can contact us for that and we can give you that access. We also have a lot of just books, at our office that if you need to know where can you find these sources, where can I access CURS bands, it's expensive. So, and you want to, you've heard that's the Bible of immigration law and you want to access that for your research, well, you can come to our office and look at our CURS bands. So we have a lot of materials available, and there's a more lengthy list on our website of what we have if you want to know precisely. We do trainings all the time, and we have one coming up November 19th on ethical issues, and that's a webinar. You can go to our website and sign up for that webinar. It is CLE credit as well, ethics credit, so that's something to look up for. We also do working groups, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then our webinars that we've had in the past, we post on our website, so that's really handy as well. If you weren't able to, do the webinar when it was occurring, or you're just getting plugged in now, but you want to see what issues we've discussed, you can view those on our website, and a lot of those are still available for CLE credit if you make the proper contacts. So one of them I'll just highlight was our roundup of 2019. So at the beginning of today, we were talking about all of the changes that have happened in immigration law, most recently. And this roundup goes over that, I think it was an hour. So we still were compressed for time, but we went through a lot of information. So you can listen to that webinar. And then our working groups are for Texas-based for asylum, Texas-based for special immigrant juvenile status, and then Houston-based for special immigrant juvenile status. And these are just opportunities for people that are working within the space to collaborate, to work together, to hear about what's going on, to see those trends, and to connect. So you can join a working group by going to our website as well. And that's where you'll find it. Just give us, you can contact us and just fill out that form. If you are not able to sign up for a pro bono case and you want to find a different way to get involved, you can always support our work. Donating is just easy to do on our first page of our website. But there's a lot of opportunities. As Salma said, you can take a case from beginning to end. You can do something that's more short term through translating or interpretation. Sometimes CILA has research projects as well. If we do, we post those on our Pro Bono Matters platform. So there's lots of ways to get involved, and it may just being a voice for these issues in your community, talking about it with your neighbors and friends, staying informed as elections go on. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
I think I need a stool. So my name is Liza Garcia, and I am a senior attorney at Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities has been in the community for over 75 years here in Houston. We do a lot of great things. The program that I work in specifically is the immigration side. We have a variety of different programs. The unaccompanied minors program is by far our biggest program. And then we also do family, DACA, citizenship. We have our crime victims department. So there are a lot of different ways that you can come and get involved. So if you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do, you definitely want to think about what is your passion. We have a ton of kiddos, so I will put in my plug as I work with all the kids. How do you say no to a child? Come and take a case. There's so many kids coming that need help. They're not entitled to free representation, so they need us to help them, to be their voice in court. If you want to learn something new, maybe your background is very transactional, maybe you're a criminal attorney, or you've just never stepped into immigration law, this is a great way to keep your brain sharp, help folks that need it, and we definitely provide one-on-one mentorship. I am the coordinator for Catholic Charities on the pro bono side, and I am happy to step in, assist you. We go to family court as well as immigration court, so I'm always happy to be there to assist you in any way that you need. We have a lot of wonderful pro bonos, some of who are here today, and we just can't tell you enough about all the work that you do. Really helps us take on more and more cases. So just like Kind, we ask that when you take on a case that it's your baby until you get that kiddo and where they need to be. So sometimes, we have these long waits for SIJ cases, U visa cases, and once the work is done, it's really just waiting for that decision. So we ask that you hold on to the case until that decision is made. So we definitely have different types of work that you can do. If you're more comfortable with transactional, we definitely have those types of cases, as well as going into court. If you're nervous about going into court, that's okay. As I said before, we are going to help you do that. So if you are interested in learning more about the different types of cases that we definitely have a table here. Feel free to go to our website. And of course, feel free to talk to me afterwards. But there are so many different ways that you can help. We have monthly workshops, which will cover unaccompanied cases, asylum cases, crime victims, citizenship. So depending on where your interests lie, we can definitely use you to come in for the day, help us for a workshop. One great idea I heard this summer, which I think is applicable to all firms, is lend us your paralegal for a workshop. We would happily borrow them for a day. They could help us with translations, talking to our clients. We have a lot of non-Spanish speaking attorneys who want to volunteer, and if you have a paralegal or a legal assistant who's bilingual, we're happy to borrow them for that workshop so that they can help our attorneys communicate with our clients as well. So there are so many different ways that you can get involved, and if you have any questions, feel free to come by and ask. Thank you.
All right, so hello, this is Ann. I'm going to continue on this consistent message that today is the day to take a case. You will make a profound impact, and yes, it may be like 4 or 5 years, but still, it'll be really amazing. So let me step back again. Ann Chandler from Tahirih Justice Center. We have out at the table some case examples of unaccompanied children cases and a short description of those cases that we're trying to find attorneys from. But really, whether you take a case with Kind or Catholic Charities, did I mess up? Okay. Oh, no, I just didn't get my slide in, guys. Oh, is it in here? All right. There we are. You will have incredible support. You will not be there alone. And I also want to suggest this idea of thinking about a colleague. I really think two attorneys do an amazing job working on a case because they are easy to divide. There is a lot of time that needs to be spent with the client, building trust, building rapport, understanding the facts, understanding the circumstances, developing those informational packets. And there's also a lot of time and research and case theory. And so you're going to be on the call, whether it's your mentor with Kind or Catholic Charities or with CILA. There's going to be a lot of work product. And so it is a lovely way to meet a colleague and really work in unison with a colleague and volunteering on a case. At Tahirih, you're going to find that our clients and the case that you represent will have gender-based violence included, whether it's sexual exploitation or human trafficking or domestic violence. That's the nature of our work. But you'll probably note that if you're working with other organizations, there's going to be strings of these things involved, whether it's what gang recruitment looks like in the home country, or what a lot of times children are grown up in those family situations that have often had violence in different ways. So violence is a theme that is gendered across these cases, unfortunately. And so really just encourage, my talking points is encouraging you to take a case. But outside of case representation, man, I think Monday morning, no, that's a holiday. Tuesday morning is a great time for you to put off whatever you were thinking of doing at the office and go to immigration court. And just watch. That's a great way to get settled. You will likely be horrified at how difficult it is and how stunned individuals who are pro se, who are trying to navigate how to comply with a really rigorous environment of having to file documents in English in timely matters before the court. You can probably ask the court clerk or whoever's behind that desk, when is the docket of children who are on their own? And you will notice, as was spoken here, while our organizations rock better than anybody else in the nation, and we have CILA, who else has CILA that you can just get all these resources for? We are not cutting it when it comes to getting attorneys representing these kids. And no kid should be doing this alone. And so you can go and watch like just kids being like brought into this court system, and you will be horrified. And so that is, I think, step number one for everyone. Step number two is read the resources on CILA's site. Look up, how do I, RJ, are you back there? Do you know anything with Flores and the monitoring groups? Yeah, have you done those? Right. I mean, I can say right now, as bleak as the situation is in our 7 detention centers in Houston, where children are living in the custody of Health and Human Services, the situation would be a lot worse if it weren't individuals like you standing up and say, what else do I do outside of case representation? Because there's a lot of work needed in just keeping eyes on what is happening in these children, from the point of while they're trying to reach the United States, what is happening in southern Mexico right now? Why do we not permit safe passage of unaccompanied children in our region? Why is it okay that we're picking up kids in terror and sending them back to their home country with no process? Why is it okay when they're getting to the border, you can't actually walk up to the bridge and easily say, I'm a kid, I need protection? People have to wait, and there are wait lists. It's a system that the government has coined under the term metering, like wait your line in turn time. And unaccompanied children, at least when I've been at the border, are not able to easily walk to the border, right? How can you learn about that? Second, why are kids put in cages at the border? Like, you can go to Project Amplify and read declarations that have been developed by the children. I think we were watching videos earlier. But I say, hey, we already got to celebrate the Astros. Don't have any more Texas parties. Have a party where you're writing postcards of advocacy to legislators saying, come on, federal government, the system we have put in order right now is not okay. We should not have children ever in a CBP facility. Children should be able to reach our shores. All children should have representation. We should not be up here begging, right? I mean, this should be a right of representation. So there's a lot of advocacy. We, especially Houston, being the city of the future, where so many children are kept and are then infiltrated in our communities. Like we need to all work together to change that structure, right? And so I think there's a lot of opportunities to also be involved with this movement building on behalf of unaccompanied children, so that every child has a court. Yes, that doesn't mean don't give to Kind and all the organization. Yeah, give all your money now and your time. But in the meantime, we should be demanding free representation for children. This is ridiculous. And we should thank our county attorney and Thurgood Marshall for having this conference, but also saying, what should a county attorney, where should public dollars be when it comes to assisting and making sure the most vulnerable newcomers in our community have a system of protection so that they have guardianships in place when necessary? What does that look like? I think we should be thinking creatively out of the box. Second, I think we were talking as advocates earlier today that some of our unaccompanied children who are specifically still in Health and Human Services are not right now really eligible to apply for special immigrant juvenile status. There's been some really bad case law that's developed over time. And so how can we think creatively about this next legislative session? Right? Texas law, when it comes to creating a court structure that fits within our immigration federal laws, is really lagging. And we have an expert in the room. Chloe, can you raise your hand? She's like an expert on what the statute needs to look like. So I know there's some amazing folks in this room that have probably done legislative advocacy and could guide this movement to how can we have better Texas laws that builds a bedrock of support for unaccompanied children, because that's a missing piece in this advocacy movement as well. There's an organization called Houston Leads that its mission is a little outside of unaccompanied children, but they're trying to think creatively, like how can we, as an advocacy community in support of immigrants, create structures of support. And so there's work, if you're an expert and know how to do Freedom of Information Act requests, there's a lot of work on how can we ask for those contractual documents between Health and Human Services and the contractors that hold children in these ORR facilities, and how can we get all those contracts, and then how can we evaluate them and demand accountability when we know certain provisions of things that they've agreed to provide, they're not actually providing. That takes work, but those are opportunities to be engaged if you're not looking for taking 2 cases from Tahirih Justice Center. That's probably my time, and we'll now ask for questions for the panel.
I think each of y'all contract with ORR or with VERA, do you not, for what you do with
No.
unaccompanied minors?
I mean, Tahirih doesn't, but I don't know.
What about the other panel members? Aren't all of y'all contracting with VERA? And are your contracts, are they public? Speaking of FOIA requests, do we have those contracts? Are they available for people to look at? Are you paid per unaccompanied minor that you represent?
No, I don't believe so.
I think that we are contracted to represent certain shelters, but I can't. We're contracted to represent so many shelters, but in terms of
Numbers and how the payment comes through, that unfortunately I can't answer. I don't have that.
So which shelters are assigned to which groups of y'all? Like the YMCA is assigned certain shelters here in Houston?
Yes, they're divided amongst the 3 of us.
Okay, can you tell us which shelters y'all each have responsibility for?
Well, I can't speak to everyone else's shelters, but there's approximately 8 to 10 shelters altogether.
In the region. So I don't know, but can you kind of go forward with your point?
I'm curious, like do one of y'all have Southwest Key and another have a different, or are they divided by private prison contractors?
We don't work with prisons, but Southwest Key is one organization that has multiple shelters, but that is not the only one.
Chloe.
The organizations that run the actual shelter, so they provide the caseworkers, the mental health professionals. Those are different organizations, obviously, than the service organizations. So as was mentioned earlier, legal services are a right that are afforded to children under the. Sorry, it's going in and out. So children, any child in one of those facilities has the right to get a Know Your Rights presentation, to get a legal screen, to talk to an attorney or a member of the legal staff. So the legal services organizations are the ones that are providing that service. It's the, just to distinguish from the different players. It's a complicated system, but their obligation is to the I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
But do you want the microphone back? Were you trying to drive home a point or something around advocacy or what we should be doing?
And how y'all are had a $50 million grant last year, if I read correctly. Is that?
Yeah, so Vera does have a huge amount of money for our different programs, and I think each one of the organizations could probably meet with you. I know, for example, Kids in Need of Defense has these contractual monies, but most of their money is from other sources, right? So they do a lot of foundation and other money, and on most of our organizations, just because I'm responsible for our budget at Tahirih Justice Center, so I know we have something called the 990. And there on our organizational 990, we have to report who our donors are. So that's one way of collecting that data from organizations so that we are accountable to the community that we serve and our missions. I don't know about FOIA for that type of stuff.
I think somebody said earlier that about half of the unaccompanied minors in detention centers in Harris County are not represented by counsel. Did I hear that correctly?
I think that I've seen anywhere between 50 or 60% of the entire population, and that is not like detained, that is those that are released. Yes. Because at any given time, the percentage of immigrants that are actually in a shelter is quite small, considered to all those unaccompanied children that have been released but have ongoing proceedings.
Right, yeah, those numbers were, the total. Like every child and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but every child is entitled to talk to an attorney. And remember that when they're in shelter, the ultimate is reunification. So they may only be in that shelter for 60 days or less. And so, ultimately they're going to end up connecting with an attorney in the community where they're released or reunified. And I'm afraid if I turn my head that the mic is going to go out. So, it's a temporary, for many kids, it's a temporary stay in the shelter, and they do get to entitled to an attorney after that.
Yeah, and I was working with a kid doing an intake last month, and he was never really in an OR shelter. He was like in one, I don't know, one of these federal, was it Homestead or something, but hadn't really touched and had a meaningful intake yet in his life or her life, and was released.
Or released from custody?
No, that's not entirely accurate. It depends on where they're released. So if they are released in Houston and they came out of our shelters, then we can continue to represent them. But every contract year is different and the terms of contracts can change. Right now, we represent the children who are released from our shelters if they're released to Houston.
Ships elsewhere.
Okay. So I'm told that we have to cut it off because we have another speaker, but can I have someone, thank you for your questions. One more question from someone else before we wrap it up? Because I'm getting Ann, you're talking too much. We're the courts, great. The good thing is they're very close. They're on Jefferson. Literally, we could take
1801 Smith Street.
Right.
Within a mile or two. Right in kind of downtown, south part of downtown. Great question. Let's just go down the line, Kind.
Sure. At Kind, we have a list of volunteer interpreters, so we can provide you with that list and help you get connected with one.
We also have language line as well as interpreters depending on the needs that you have.
And Language Line is a lovely service provided through the State Bar of Texas. And so if you're a volunteer attorney, they really want to make sure that language is not going to impede you saying yes to a case. All right. Well, then that wraps it up on ways to get engaged. Thank you all. Thank you.